Okay, it's Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're live with Shop Talk. 90 minutes of all the bullshit we can fit with Chris and Ken. I'm Chris on the East Coast.
And I'm Ken.
And
oh, sorry, I just cut you off.
No, that's good. That's good, man. Jump in there, baby. Get
You're
some.
on the East Coast.
Get
I'm
some.
in the middle.
And we got a big week, man. Big week to talk about. A lot of cool stuff going on. Some of it is starting this very afternoon.
Yes, correct.
And
it is. Some of it is starting.
I'm super excited.
How's your week been, Chris? Let's talk about your week. Let's push off the news real quick. I saw your post this morning. You shattered a bottle of cutting lube or something.
And listen, it was at the end of one of those days. You know what I mean? Like, if there was two things for me to pick up, one that was working and one that was broke, I picked up the broke one all day long. Something that was full and something that was empty, I picked up the empty one all day long. And at the end of the day, I'm like, fuck all of this. I can't even take it. I'm just going to go to the shop and I'm just going to do something mindless for a little while. So I was literally made patterns and I was going to cut out some sheet metal stuff that I have to work on when we get back to the IMS shows. And I'm sitting there, brand new air nibbler, and I'm like, well, I'll do the responsible thing. I'll put some tool oil in it. I grab the tool oil down off of the shelf. It's so cold in the shop. I literally have a turbo heater pointed at the compressor to keep it from freezing up. I go to put the tool oil into the brand new tool, and it shatters in my hand, and oil, dude, drenches the entire front of my body. I'm completely by myself. It's the middle of the night, and I find myself on my knees on the shop floor laughing so hard I almost pissed my pants. Because
that's ridiculous.
What else are you going to do? Am I going to sit there and like steam? And I mean, it was just the end of a day like no other had been before, and I was too through.
Yep, I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah, yesterday was a shitty day in the Conti household.
I know,
for sure.
buddy. I'm so sorry for you too.
Yeah, it was a drag, man. We had to put our dog down, and then just to cap it off, and I don't mean to make light of that, but I don't want to talk about it because I'll probably end up crying. But the end of the day, I'm going to put my daughter to bed. I look over in her guinea pig cage. One's just fucking laid out, dead. I'm like, and I said out loud, and I don't swear a lot in front of my kids, but I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, what?
Dude,
bury our dog, and then you got to get dead guinea pig. At least there's two of them. I don't know. She seemed not too excited about it, but so it goes. It goes the other way too, you know.
And it really is sometimes like, you know, the planets align and shit is just crazy in the wrong direction for a while, and it doesn't matter what you do, you can't seem to get it back. You can't get your footing, and
it's not going to be that way. I just had a shitty day yesterday. I'm 100% sure that this is just an anomaly. It is not meant to be anything other than that. And
right on.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to share this real quick. I want to get this up on my Facebook as well somehow. What's the first thing? Oh, you were talking about how we got stuff going on today. It's happening today.
This is actually really cool, really big news. The X Games Aspen, which is kicking off today, is for the first time ever acknowledging Snow Hill Climb as a medaled event. So starting today on ESPN and ABC, there's going to be Harley Davidson Snow Hill Climb, which I'm super excited to see. You know, Harley's been working for quite a few many years at bringing Harley Davidson, the brand, the sport of motorcycling, into the X Games, and to see it reach this level is pretty badass. So congratulations to them, and everybody tune in, man. Get a TV, support that, you know, help drive their numbers and show people that this is actually a viable sport that we're waiting for.
Yeah, I think it's cool. You know, they took some Street 750s, right, and they made them into snow cycles, put tracks on the back, and I don't know who built them, but it's somebody we know, I think.
Really?
I want to say it's like Speed Merchant or, I wish I knew off the top of my head.
There's a little video here from their YouTube site. Let's play this for a second so we can get some insight on it.
Okay.
Now behind me is a Harley Davidson Sportster. Or once was a Sportster. Let's check out the major modifications made for the hill climb. The frame, it is now a dirt bike style frame that's lighter, wider, and extended. The motor, it is nearly doubled in horsepower in comparison to its original form. Feel the power. And then the back swing arm has been extended almost a foot to keep traction on the snow so this bike doesn't flip over. The rear tires will have bolts, studs, or paddles for added traction. With bikes built like these, it is going to be an exciting day of head-to-head action at the first ever Harley-Davidson Snow Hill Climb.
She's pretty excited about that throttle. I don't know what else is going on there, but
Yeah. Yeah, so I obviously was completely misinformed because it's just a bike with paddles on the back. It's not a snow cycle.
At
right?
least the one that was in that little outtake. But you know, it's interesting. I mean, basically it looks like a regular hill climber that they've, you know, thrown some ice studs in, and so I wonder how open this is to to anybody. You know, I mean, as far as being a competitor, is it something that, you know, anybody can jump into since it's a brand new sport? Is it something that's just being launched by a select group and then it's going to develop into that? I'm not even sure, but it was worth bringing up today at least.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think one of the things that they're trying to do is they're trying to really go after some of the guys and gals that are interested in the X Games, you know, and trying to get them jazzed about motorcycles and specifically about Harley Davidson. So it certainly can't hurt.
Hey, man, let's take a second real quick. I want to remind everybody that we are on Facebook Live. We were going to try to be on YouTube Live today, but apparently if you stream to Facebook, Facebook has rules that you can't stream to both at the same time. So I'm going to work on that technology so we can get a second machine. And I'm actually running out of space on my desk to put shit to run the show. But in the meantime, we do have Facebook Live going. You can enter your questions there. And I actually have an engineer in training sitting with me today. She's right here, and she's going to talk, too. Go ahead. No. Tell everybody you're here with us.
Oh, hi, guys.
So,
wait a minute. What is that angelic voice that I hear? Who is that? Huh? I couldn't quite hear.
Totally suckered me into this. I have been vehemently opposed to this since the get-go. Just want it on record.
But Heather's nice enough to sit in for us, and she's going to be fielding questions from Facebook. So from time to time, we'll turn over to her, and rather than me sit here and try to do everything at once, she's going to answer your questions and bring them onto the air. So shoot your questions away, shoot your comments. Heather's watching the feed the whole time through the show, and we'll try to include you guys and get you some answers as we go along.
Excellent.
And if she has anything else to offer, right?
Thank you. I will say this. I keep trying to get Chris to send me to cover the X Games while he does IMS. I think that's an outstanding idea, especially now that Harley's involved. How could that go wrong? It's good coverage for the magazine, right, Ken?
Listen.
Yeah, but the weird part is that I'm only about 2.5 hours from there, so it'd be a lot easier to send me.
There you go.
Ken, you're not helping. I sign your check.
Here's the weird part is that all of a sudden my relationship seems to be a little lopsided because my partner in crime over here, like the other day, our guest today is Mondo, obviously from Denver's Choppers, and I was talking to Mondo. He's telling me about a trip him and a couple guys are going on to Dubai. And my beautiful wife steps up and goes, maybe they need an assistant. I could go along. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't see you so excited about going to Cleveland this weekend. What's going on? In any event, so who do we got on with us today? Who's already on with Facebook?
Mama Dukes is here.
Oh, right on.
Ditch is here. She's been here every week. I don't think she's missed a show yet. And Anthony Cantrella from Daytona Beach is waiting on chopper time. So are we, Anthony.
Yeah, buddy, me too.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's going to be our first live remote.
Yeah, that's going to be hair-raising.
That's kind of the reason why I broke out the second microphone here today in the studio and got Heather involved, was I got to see if I can start managing all of this. If I can just get Heather to speak in the microphone.
Hey, be thankful I'm even sitting here.
Yeah, I am. I'm very thankful. So let's jump to the next topic in the news.
Hey, why don't you just remind people of the date of Willie's so people know?
Yeah, I should actually. That's a good idea. So Willie's Chopper Time, definitely one of our favorite times in Daytona. March 15th, 11 to 4. If you've never been to it, it's old time goodness for Daytona, man. Like the bikes that show up there are mad. It's just a scene. You know, Willie always does great stuff for a charity group. This year, the whole thing is going to support veterans and, you know, cheap beer, hot dogs, some bands, you know, a lot of great bikes to look at. So show up and support them. Willie's always helping everyone in the community. And the thing that people don't remember about this when they think about the people that do this stuff for a living and host these shows and have these events like Willie, or, you know, on and on and on. Willie has one, maybe two shows a year when everybody comes to town for Bike Week, but he's there in Daytona, South Daytona, trying to make his living all year long. You know what I mean? So when you get a chance, when you're in town, definitely go down and support him, help him make that a little bit easier, because Daytona, when Bike Week goes away, is no easy feat. It's no easy place to run a business.
That's for sure. Yeah, I've been down there. I'm sure you've been down there when it's not Bike Week, and it's different for sure.
It's no fun.
Yeah.
So listen, keeping on the track of motorcycles and competition, you know, we got to go back and talk about Indian, because Indian's just killing it. They're gearing up for a lot of stuff, and what they're doing with their bike for the privateer this year is just going to ensure that it's going to a whole nother place.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing the FTR 750, right, for privateers,
Yep.
offering them up, and that's going to be, I think that's going to put a whole new kind of twist on it. I did read, I think real late today, you know, Harley kind of announced their team. It looked a little lackluster, to be honest with you, and I don't see they just haven't had the push that some of these other, you know, like Indian has had with the racing side. I think they really want to get there, but since they didn't have a winning season, it's pretty hard to get there, you know.
You know, and the shame about this is the fact that this was the agenda for Indian right off of the bat. I mean, they started with a purpose-built motorcycle. It was almost like they watched that TV series last year, Harley and the Davidsons, and they set out a mission to have a badass race team, and they went after top-level riders, and they really put a good program together. And I mean, whatever it translates to them for in sales, because that's the bottom line, is where it has to come back. What they've done on the track has been nothing short of amazing this year, and the bike is totally badass too. It's opened up a whole new avenue to the sport. It's reinvigorated it. It's given a lot of new energy. A lot of new people are looking to get involved, and with this privateer program, that should definitely help.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you brought up is that, you know, they built this bike purpose built. They're not taking a street 750 and, you know, like Harley did, and trying to make it into a bike to race. And so I think they went at it a different way, and it seems to be working out for them. So I'm excited. Did you get your confirmation of your American Flat Track credentials?
I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. You're
Right
like,
on.
maybe?
Well, I just looked to my production assistant. That's one of the benefits of having a production assistant.
Yeah, I just got mine. I'm psyched. I'm going to go to at least 3 or 4 of them this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the old adage of waking up drunk in a puddle behind the Iron Horse and forgetting that there were races that week. I think as a culture we've kind of moved on from that now, and like you try to get as much in as you can, man. Like I try to make sure swap meet races, hill climbs, everything I can do when it's actual motorcycle week, I want to make the most out of that week. I can do drunk week any week of the year, you know.
So let me just say, the culture hasn't changed. You've just gotten older. So just so you know.
That's so funny. I
watch
was talking
this.
to one of my buddies about that the other day, about what bike week or rallies look like for me, and it's like a chicken with my head cut off all day long, and then back at, you know, not a very reasonable hour, working more, right? And then hopefully having at least a bed to sleep in, right? And then waking up way too early the next morning and doing it all over
in
again.
a puddle of drool. with your
Yeah,
head on the
exactly. I
table
mean,
next to your laptop. Yeah, it's awesome.
Got to go to the grocery store and try to get some reasonable food instead of turkey legs and sweet potatoes. So yeah, yeah, things priorities change. Bring my own coffee. Yeah, I'm one of those
The
guys.
turkey leg I can't take anymore. I can't have another turkey
Yeah.
leg in my life.
Nope.
Just can't do it. So here's something in the news. I know we had talked about this before with you guys, but Chopper Fest, one of the most important events that happens for the year, both for the culture, the custom bikes, and now the art, because the art scene there has just become an absolute celebration of the art style that David Mann started and continues to represent our culture today. They're just loaded with artists, but because of the flooding and everything that was going on, the fires and the flooding, they had to move their date this year. They're moving it to February 4th. So I wanted to get a chance for you guys to hear this straight from the man himself. So I actually got Tori from Chopper Fest on a remote, and we're going to go to him for a second and hear a report about what's up for Chopper Fest. So I'm going to give this over to Tori.
Hey, Chris and Ken, thanks for having me on your show. Been really enjoying Shop Talk and the weekly reports. Always super informational and educational and a bit humorous. So keep up the good work, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. Want to, talk about Chopper Fest and the date change. It's going to be happening on Sunday, February 4th. As most of you know, the event was rescheduled due to the devastating fires and mudslides that happened here in Ventura County over the past couple of months. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those families affected by the fires and mudslides, and we're hoping to put on a really great show in 2 weeks and being able to raise some money for those families in need. So if you want to come out and check out some cool old motorcycles, some amazing custom culture artwork, come to the Ventura County Fairgrounds on Sunday, February 4th. The event is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and there will be something for everyone. We have over 15 motorcycle classes, everything from antique to twin cam, chopper to radical design, British. I mean, there's something for everybody. It's a really great show. It's on the grass, under the palms, by the beach at the Ventura County Fairgrounds. And the art show this year, which is the David Mann and Friends Art Show, we'll have some amazing David Mann artwork on display, as well as numerous custom culture and motorcycle artists from around the country and even across the globe participating this year, and some of which have done David Mann tribute art. So really looking forward to seeing what these artists have done and come up with in honor of David's legacy. So so come out to the show. We have an art show, bike show. There'll be rock, blues, and outlaw country bands. Gethin Jenkins is performing this year. We'll have numerous custom bike builders. Mondo is going to be there, as well as many others. Tons of vendors and a great motorcycle swap meet. So if you're looking for that part that you couldn't find, go digging through the crates in the back grass and see what you can come up with at the swap meet on Sunday. And go to chopperfestival.com for more info. And thanks again for having me on, you guys. And look forward to seeing you out at the show.
Right on, Tori, man. Thanks. It's always great to support this thing that they're going to be doing. Our person in the field, Twyla, is going to be handing out an award for Cycle Source out there. So I'm always glad to help out, and I'm glad to see that they're able to work around this problem for their event, and obviously our prayers go out to everybody affected by this too.
For sure.
So just for 2 seconds, my engineering training has mentioned to me that we got a pile up going on Facebook. So what do you got?
So we're going to go back a little bit. Magoo is bringing his panhead to Willie's. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I think we're featuring it. He did an outstanding job on that bike. Danger Dan is in the house with us.
Oh, right on, Dan, man.
And he's got a couple comments. One I can't repeat because my mother's watching. And the other one is he wants to know if Harley had a hand in the show Harley of the Davidsons to help boost their racing scene. if they had any input on that. I think that's a really good question.
It's a good question, but I would say honestly, Dan, based on some of the derogatory effects of that program, I would say Harley had less to do with it than Indian did. You know what I mean? Like the way it all played out, it really, life kind of followed art in that respect. Except for
my understanding was that they actually paid for it.
Really? Because
that's
wow.
Yeah. That's what I heard, but I don't know that that's true. It's like a 100% rumor. I think that'd be great to find out.
I heard rumors too that they were kind of unhappy about some of it, from inside. So I don't if anybody out there from Harley Davidson that wants to give us some information about that, we'd love to know. That was a fantastic series. What was the channel that was on? We can give it a little pimp.
Don't know.
It was either History or Discovery, I
don't
think.
remember.
History or Discovery, but it was a fabulous, fabulous series. I really loved it. And I mean, before everybody chimes in with what parts of it were true and what parts weren't, I almost could care less. It was a great show. So
cool.
Yeah.
George the Painter's in the house.
George, what's up, baby? George has a gallery opening coming up, right? That's
June 16th.
The weekend after Big Mountain Run. George is opening his home and shop, which is kind of scary, to anyone who wants to come down and party with him and check out his work. We're definitely going to be there with him. So,
and that's in Fayetteville, West Virginia.
Yeah, put it on your calendars.
Nice.
What else you got?
Mama Dukes agrees with me. Sorry.
She agrees with you about what?
About being able to go to X Games in Dubai. I mean, come on now.
Of course she does. Of course she does, because we live in a time where women rule the world. I'm going to get a lot of likes for that one.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I can just see all the hearts coming across the screen right now.
Good thing that they haven't caught up with the middle finger that goes across the screen yet, because I'd get that one a lot.
While we're killing time, I've got the new issue right here.
Sweet.
Just came to my mailbox. It's got Mondo in it. Denver's Choppers 50 years. So anything that we don't talk about today, you could probably pick up in this. And there's some great imagery in there for sure.
Oh my God, dude. I was so lucky to get to tell that story. So lucky.
Yeah, for sure. And then somebody covered the Moto Beach Classic. We've got ride through the battlefields at Gettysburg, Bike Week. So anybody that hasn't been to that show, if you live anywhere in the Northeast, it is worth going to for sure. I mean, we have a blast up there. There's a great Cycle Source bike show. We do a ride. It's good times. But this is a great issue. You've test ride the new Fat Bob, 2018 Fat Bob. I thought that was great. What you talked about in there. And then also you're in here talking about retrofitting a GSXR front end.
Right.
On your
dude, and it's
on your IMS bike. So
it's so much fun.
Cool, man.
It's so
good
much
stuff.
fun because
it's so weird being involved in a magazine and looking forward to seeing it come out. So I'm like, I got something to read now.
Oh. So. It's great though, like when you see, because we get so caught up in the 30-day cycle of all of this stuff that you forget there's stuff in that magazine that we've worked on 30 days ago, 60 days ago, 90 days ago. There's things that we've been waiting for 6 months. And when it all comes down to that issue in that moment, and when that thing gets delivered, it's like, wow, we managed to pull it off. And like, no one's more surprised about that than me every month.
Yeah. Well, and you got 6 custom bikes in there, which is pretty outstanding, See 6 custom bikes.
When we started adding that sixth one just happened a little over half a year ago. We started doing a thing called the Working Man's feature. And it's kind of like, I always felt like when we started Cycle Source, we started with my bike on the very first issue. And it was a nice shovel head, but it was nothing super fancy that it would be featured in a motorcycle magazine. So I felt like at least one bike a month we should dedicate to, just the average custom guy,
Cool. Well, and I think what we're going to be able to do starting in the next issue, we're going to start documenting this build that the guys from Moto Octa are going to be doing with a CB750 that they found out in somebody's yard.
Yeah.
That got donated to them. It was, totally unrunnable. Animals in there, mice, insects, they had to bomb the whole thing, and they're just ripping the whole thing apart and going to put it together for pennies on the dollar. They're going to put together a really cool little cafe racer. We're going to probably have at least a couple articles about it. and I think it's a great way to, not everybody can have a Harley, first off. I know I didn't. And so this is a great way to show people, hey, you can do, you can take something if you got the time and the initiative, with YouTube and everything else that's out there, and really just take a bike that's completely non-runnable and is, free or very cheap and build something cool. So that's going to be fun.
So yeah, you brought up about the War Pony. That's the name of the project
That's right.
that we're getting ready to go back on the road with IMS. And man, it's been just 3 weeks of crazy around the clock work trying to get this motorcycle ready to because when we go back, we have Cleveland this week, Dallas the week after that, Chicago the week after that. We have 1 week off, and then Washington, and that pretty much, like, the motorcycle has to be running at the end of the show in Washington. The motor's still at zippers, like it's total chaos. But we got a ton of stuff done. Cleveland is going to be absolutely exceptional. I actually have a cool little trailer reel that we just made that we're going to start playing when we come on the stage, starting with Cleveland. But this is let me give you a look at this.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for a unique look into the world of custom motorcycling. We've gathered some of the industry's top builders and fabricators on this stage to show you their skills live and in person. Watch as they chop, grind, and weld their creations into existence right before your very eyes. Feel free to ask questions at any time directly to your host, Pat Jansen. The doors to the shop are open, so pull up a stool, kick back, and welcome to the Grease and Gears Garage.
So when I made that video, Heather watched it and she said, I kept waiting for a wrestler to break through the screen. I'm like, man, it's mine. It's mine.
Is it really?
Yeah,
you must have put some weird filters
no,
on it.
I really didn't.
You sound like Vince McMahon.
I really didn't. Luckily because we have all this studio equipment here, I just laid down a track real quick. But I wanted to get someone to come in and do it professionally, and like everything else, we do everything last minute with our asses on fire. So that it is what it is. But Cleveland is gonna be wicked cool. We got everything from metal engravers to we'll be building the War Pony, a lot of great talent, and one of them coming up for the show is going to be Pat Patterson from Lead Sled Custom, and Pat is on standby with us right now. Let's shoot over to Pat. He's going to tell you what he's doing in Cleveland.
Yo, it's Chris and Ken.
Hey, what's up, Chris and Ken? Just sitting here getting ready for the Cleveland IMS show. Gonna do some videos here on spinning fenders so you guys can see how it's done here at Lead Sled Custom. See you guys in Cleveland.
So obviously we're not bringing Pat's entire spinning lathe up onto the stage for Grease and Gears, but he's going to take everybody through the videos of him spinning fenders, and then he's actually going to have one of those spun fender blanks on stage, and he's going to take it the rest of the way of cutting it out, putting the two halves together and forming it into a custom fender that he would send out if you ordered it from Lead Sled. So one of the really cool things in Cleveland IMS is going to be a lot of fun.
That's great. Awesome.
Yes, sir.
We haven't said thanks to J&P Cycles yet, but if anybody go to 4e2w.com, there's a little banner on the right-hand side. Click on it, J&P Cycles. We get a little taste of that, so helps support the show. We want to get a live or remote myself, so I can do some of the stuff that Chris is doing as well when he's away, and so we can kind of go vice versa, right?
Yes.
Please. So the other thing that I'm excited to let people know is that the podcast of this will be up much sooner now that I have 100% control, because you have empowered me, Chris.
There you go. There you go.
I actually published ours from last week today. It had a little hiccup trying to figure it out, but got it done, and now I feel fairly confident that we should be able to get it out pretty quickly after this. So hopefully we can get that going a little more fluid, and get some more podcasts up. So thanks for everybody's support on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And hey, I wanna send out a personal message too to J&P, because between Grease and Gears Garage and our bike shows throughout the year, and we come up with this idea, like they climb on board for everything we come up with. They really, really support the culture and the stuff that we're doing in it. So we appreciate those guys over there a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we go to our guest of the hour, do we have anything last minute to take care of on Facebook?
Real quick, Danger Dan was wondering where he could pick up the magazine, so I threw up a link to MagFinder.
Yeah.
If you don't have a subscription, which selfish promotion, you really should. It saves you a ton of money. Go to magfinder.magnetdata.net, plug in your zip code and the name of the magazine, and it will tell you where you can get it locally.
And that's any magazine too.
Yes.
I mean, it's really like after all of these decades of the magazine industry, finally Magnet put together a piece of software that if you put your zip code in, the title of any magazine that you're looking for, it'll tell you the 5 or 6 stores right around you that have that magazine. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
But I will warn you that because I'm a subscriber, I got it earlier than the newsstand will.
Right.
So it'll be a week, maybe longer before that comes out. Right?
Yep. And I mean, that's something that we do just because I think there should be a benefit of having a subscription, so we always make sure they go out fast to our subscribers. But
yeah, and that's awesome. You know, I always appreciate having it, you know, when I get it. So.
All right. So Miss Judy says that was the best promo ever.
Which one?
Miss Judy, your voiceover promo. She loved that. Rebecca Cunningham wants to know if we can get Pat to wear wrestler garb and do the spender finning.
Oh, I thought you meant the other Pat Jansen in wrestler garb. Like if wait, let's see. If Pat from Lead Sled would do the wrestler garb, and then his opponent could be Pat Jansen playing the part of Nacho Libre. Oh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Celebrity
You
death
are
match.
opening up a can of worms, buddy, that I don't think you could ever put the cap back on. But good luck with that. You'll be the one there managing them.
And,
So what you got?
one more. Charlie Ransom is watching today.
Hey, Charlie, good to hear from
up,
you,
man?
brother. Right on. Charlie Ransom, for you guys that don't know, is the man at American Motordrome, the Wall of Death, our family that we all love out there. You know, thanks for checking in on us, Charlie, and keep us up to date about what your schedule is going to be this year. Those guys have been everywhere, man. They've been absolute road dogs the last few years.
Well, we want to try to get him at Gettysburg Bike Week this week. So if you're still watching, Charlie, make sure you reach out to me because that's one on my list of things to get done. We want to make sure we get you up there this year. So that'd be great to have those guys.
We are into the second half hour, so let's see if we can do some magic and not have an answer machine for one time.
Chris, I'm here.
Mondo, how you doing, buddy? You're on the air with Chris and Ken.
Yeah, I'm watching you guys now. Am I watching you live?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
Yep.
You're gonna have to turn them up, Chris. I can barely hear him.
So, are we going on right now?
Yeah, you're on the air right now.
Oh, okay, good. You know, first off, I wanna thank you for the terrific article that you did.
Oh, dude, it was our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure.
In this month's magazine that I just got my copy yesterday, and I read the article and it almost moved me to tears because it was so factual and so you hit it so right on. You know that it's an article that needs to be read, and I encourage people out there, if you haven't read the article, pick it up, or if you don't get it a subscription, go pick it up in the bookstores and read this article because I've had a lot of articles written about Denver choppers over the years, but I think this one's hit it the closest, the best, and the writing and the way that you captured this thing and the pictures that you used in this particular article on Denver choppers was our 50th anniversary was phenomenal. So I'm very moved, very touched, and very honored that you did that, and I'm just want to get everybody out there to take a look at this particular magazine, and I'm very proud of our legacy, and you brought it forward. So there again, thank you, Chris.
Oh man,
once again,
it was my absolute honor. And
you're way too high, Chris. It's like shattering eardrums.
Who is?
You're too loud, and maybe it's just me.
Okay.
You're like super loud, and then when you turned up you turned up, or even Mondo, you turned up you as well. Sorry.
Okay. How about that? We good?
That's better.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry about that, man. So, like I was saying, it was my complete honor to even be involved in this. It was a daunting task because a lot of this story, I knew about Denver's. I knew about all you guys for years and years. No idea, and I feel almost ashamed about that. Like, how deep in the chopper culture the roots of this thing with you guys went.
Yeah, pretty far. And being one of the original guys that's still around, still alive from that shop, because most of the guys from that shop, and you even see in those pictures, and I was looking at the pictures in the magazine, most all those guys are dead and gone, and that brought back a lot of memories for me personally to look at those pictures and the guys that I used to ride with and grew up with, and you brought it all back to light. So it's a walk down memory lane when I look at this magazine article.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning for people who might not be completely aware about Denver's Choppers and how everything got started. Just let's tell a little bit of the story here for our listeners today.
Okay, that'd be great. Well, I'll go ahead and start into that. It started out as a body shop, an auto body shop in San Bernardino, California, and which is more famously called Purdue. And Purdue was kind of the bike capital of the world. It's the home of the Hells Angels. Started there, and the whole bike culture started out of Southern California, and we were part of it. And Denver's Choppers went from a body shop to Denver buying his first Harley and customizing it and putting the long front end on it out of a Model A Wishbones, and he built a really cool bike. And you got to remember back in that time, you couldn't pick up a catalog and order parts. If you wanted to build a custom bike, you had to make your own parts or know somebody that could do that for you. So that we fulfilled a need. I was one of the young guys hanging around the shop, and we all ended up getting bikes, and little Freddie Hernandez and Butch Ariza built the motors and assembled the bikes. And so we had a crew that we put together and started building bikes and just riding them for our own pleasure. And other people started taking notice of these motorcycles. And like the look that we had created with the long bikes and the stretch frames, and people started coming to us and say, "Hey, can you do one of those bikes for us, or do a frame or a front end?" And that's how Denver Choppers was born, out of necessity. For, people coming to us and seeing us out on the road and pulling us over and say, "Hey, I'd like to get one of those." And knew it. We were a full-blown motorcycle shop building custom bikes, and started the aftermarket industry by selling frames for all different kinds of motorcycles and front ends, and getting that was the advent of the magazines. Right about that time, Street Chopper came out and Easy Rider came out, so we had a lot of ads in those magazines, and that took us kind of nationwide. That people started recognizing our stuff, and so that was cool. That was the beginning of Denver Choppers, and we started in 1967. So we just celebrated our 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Very proud of that. And we did that big show with you in the Iron Horse Saloon last year in Sturgis, and that was a very moving show for me, just to make the milestone of 50 years and living. Talking about the legacy of Denver and my best friend, and growing up with him, and the promise we made to each other when we were drag boat racing, and when he got killed and I took over the shop in 1992 to bring it to where we are today. It's just been a hell of a ride. It's been a roller coaster ride, but it's something that I had to do, and I'm proud that I did. And one of these days when I meet him again in heaven, I'll be able to look him in the eye and say, "You know what? I kept my promise and kept Denver Choppers alive."
And that's something we talked about in the article too, is the fact that this last 25 years you've been working to living up to that promise that you made them, and it's not all been easy. Keeping that brand alive for the second 25 years of its existence. You've been through plenty of the ups and downs of it, and you qualifying yourself at every turn, and you did this in memory of your brother.
Yeah, and you put it in the article, and you couldn't have said it better. I never had the intention of taking Denver's place. I always had the intention of being the guy that carried on his name. And as far as I'm concerned, this is Denver Choppers, and we're building the bikes in his likeness and what he would have built. And we're just continuing that legacy, being that he was the guy that started this chopper industry, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of other people. You know, I just got to keep his memory alive, and for this thing of ours, and you know, with guys like you out there telling the stories, and it just means a lot to me, and it means a lot, you know, for all the young guys coming in. They got to know where you've gone in history to know where you're going in history, and Denver's a big part of it, and a big part of my. I've devoted my whole life to it. Actually,
Yeah.
The last 50 years of my life has been this chopper thing, and I've been blessed, Chris. I've been able to go to so many places and meet so many people around the country and around the world now. We're actually traveling to shows in Dubai and Italy and everywhere else, and promoting what we do. You know, I kind of just traveling around and say, okay, yeah, this is Mondo, and he builds choppers. He builds the Denver Choppers, and so our name is worldwide now, and I'm kind of proud of that. And it's because of people like you that gets the word out and tells the story. That was my mission in life, and hopefully I'll be doing this for a while longer, and building bikes, and that's it's been quite an honor. You know, it's been a roller coaster. It's been tough and sometimes, but I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest with you.
Well, let's talk about a little bit the back in the day, because you guys, just like a lot of us in this, you were just doing what you did, and then everything took off like a rocket ship. Before you knew it, the body shop side had closed down. You guys were pumping out work like crazy. But what were those days like, man? Like, what was the scene like? I imagine it was just madhouse.
Well, it was. We had a tight-knit group of guys, probably about 15 of us, that rode together every weekend and partied together. You know, would go out on Thursday nights to the bars, and then would go out on Friday nights to another bar, and then on Saturday mornings would jump on our bikes and take a ride up to the San Bernardino Mountains, or go down to Hollywood or Sunset Strip, or ride down to the beach and party with some of the clubs down there. So we were always doing something every weekend. So it was a lifestyle. You know, it was back then you were a biker, you know, 7 days a week. That was your lifestyle. Because you got to remember, back then, only bikers rode bikes.
Yeah.
It's bikers that were into it. We were looked down upon and shunned by the society that's now out there riding motorcycles. You know, they used to look down their noses at us, and now they wanted to be us. Now they want to be us, you know. So it was a different time, a different era. And I guess being that when you're in a position like that, you stick together, you form a bond. You know, it's you against them,
right?
And the world, and so that draws you closer together and makes you more of a family unit. You know, it's we looked out for each other's families. If we went on a run, we threw all our money in a pot.
Oh, dude, I love that part of this article.
We threw our money in a pot, and no matter how much you had, nobody got left behind. We went on a run. If your bike broke down, ended up in the back of the truck, like you wrote so eloquently put the story in the article. Yeah, the bike would end up in the back of the truck and became a parts bike.
Yep.
Because back then, you got to remember, everybody ran an M74B carburetor, and the generators were the same, and the wheels and everything else on our bikes, so everything interchanged. So your bike became the parts bike, and you know, the next week you'd go around and gather your parts back with the guys, and everybody had their turn in the back of the truck, which was kind of fun because that's where all the beer was in the pot. So you know, so you kind of frowned at, I can't ride, but oh man, we're gonna have a good time in the chase truck, you know. So that was always cool, and the places we'd end up and the people would meet, you know, meeting other brothers on the road, and going to motorcycle runs with the clubs and stuff. It was truly something that in history. And when you look at the old bike pictures of the guys camping out on their bikes, and you know, sleeping bag and an extra T-shirt, your leather jacket, and a toothbrush cut in half in your back pocket, and you were good for the weekend. And you knew that you'd always make it home, because we rode in a pack, and and we're going to eat and we're going to drink and we're going to party and we're going to make memories and have a good time. And that was a good time to grow up in, riding and building motorcycles and building choppers and getting the recognition that we got back then was something that we weren't looking for, but it just came along and it just promoted what we were doing. And, just proud to be a part of it back then. So, for me building choppers now, when people come to have me build a chopper, they're getting a guy that used to build the choppers back then. They're not getting a guy, well, I think they did this and I think they did that. This is the way we did it. And that's,
I was there.
I was there. So that makes it a lot easier, for me personally to build these old bikes and get them period correct when we're building them, and I try to do that in most of my builds, but as you know, as custom bike builders, we don't always get the say on how the bike's going to look or what parts we use, because that's the one with the money. But I've been blessed. I've been blessed building the Springer front ends for a lot of the bike shops, like Billy Lane used them, Jesse James used them, Orange County Choppers, all the big name builders use my product, and that's kind of cool. And you see it in the magazines, and you see something that you've done. It always gives you a good feeling. So.
Oh yeah.
So I've been blessed. I've been really blessed. And
in 21 years of running this magazine, that in our tech part of every feature bike, that name comes up again and again. Boy, people love those front ends.
Yeah. That's people go, there goes a Denver, and you can just tell by the look. And there's, I get a little ticked off once in a while because there's people out there copying my front ends, but I guess that's going to happen. It's happened before, and it's going to keep happening. And I guess when you're building a product that people like and other people want to copy it, but it goes along with the industry,
Hey, that's something that, and this might be something you don't want to talk about on the air, but you and I have had private conversations about the difference between how bike builders will copy each other today, and it's socially a completely different thing from back when you guys were doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple stories. I mean, Denver hire lawyers or get patents or anything else. Denver would just up, and he'd go in there and cut up their jigs, and beat them up, and take their shit. And that's the way it was done back then, and that ends the problem.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen before. I was there when it happened. And that kind of cured the guys of wanting to copy your stuff. But you can't do that anymore.
Which is in some ways it's almost a shame.
Yeah. And the thing is, you got to show a little bit of class and a little bit of honor, not copy other people's stuff. But I see it and I go, well, I can make a big deal about it, or I think as getting older like I am, I just don't have that initiative to go out there and make a big deal about it, because if people want a real one, they'll come a real Denver front end, they'll come to me.
Right.
I've even had a company in Japan that was taking out advertising and calling themselves Denver Choppers and building front ends. And then people would call me, well, this front end's a piece of shit. And they'd call me, and I said, I didn't build that. I didn't build that front end. There's people in Japan. They didn't last long, but it just goes to show you, the how this industry has changed over the years. And when we talk about the ups and downs, those are just some of the ups and downs you go through is, people copying your stuff. So. But that all goes with it,
So in a lot of ways, the stuff that you guys were doing, you were the original thrill seekers, and that led into another part of your life with the drag boats, and that was something you and Denver shared together.
Yeah. That was a big part of our life. We started out young, riding our bikes to the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona, and we even had a trailer there on the water, and we used to ride there on weekends on our bikes, and then sit there and watch these guys with these hot flat bottoms running up and down the Colorado River. And he said, Denver, we got to get one of those. So he got one, I got one, and he traded, as you said in the story, he traded Eliminator boats that just came along, building some hot boats, and he traded a couple of our metric Hondas choppers for a really fast lake boat, and so we had fun. We'd run up and down the river on the weekends, so we'd ride our bikes there and jump in our boats, and we kept them down there and run up and down the river, and we just got this need for speed, and we just liked the boats, and so Denver and I decided to go drag boat racing professionally, and I bought a Curtis boat and big engine in it, and he bought one, and we started racing against each other and having a ball, and then we started moving up in the ranks in the classes. Before you know it, we made a business out of it. Was instrumental in bringing the capsules into fruition for the drag boats with the F-16 windshields and stuff. We were building the roll cages, and got that through SFI, and
now explain for a second what that capsule is, what that means.
A capsule's a pod, and if you pull up drag boat racing on YouTube or any, they're a phenomenal machine. These things run up to 260 miles an hour now in a quarter mile, and they're running top fuel motors in them, just like the motors that we used in our funny cars and dragsters. We take those motors out and stick them in a boat, a 19-foot boat, and put 5,000 horsepower to it, and you're going to go for a ride. And Denver's had a top fuel, and we had an alcohol boat and a blown gas boat. So a 3-boat team. I drove one, and he drove one, and it was just exciting. We went racing all around the country. We got the big rigs and went around the country racing, and we started a size business doing the capsules.
Yeah. And
Denver crashed a top fuel boat in Bakersfield, and he walked away because he had one of our capsules, but he wasn't so lucky. 6 months later, we built him a new boat, and he went out and he got killed in it, unfortunately, and that was October 4th, 1992, and so that's when I stepped in and kept my promise to Denver to. If anything happened to either one of us, we made a promise that we would take care of each other's family and keep Denver choppers going. And so, people came to me and said, well, you know what you got to do. And I said, yeah. And I took it over. I took over the drag boat shop, and I kept building the capsules and the boats. And I took over the bike shop, and which was kind of a chore, because trying to get in there and do things the way Denver did them. And there was people around there that says, well, you're not Denver. And I said, well, I know I'm not. I'm just trying to keep his legacy alive. And there was some fights that went on, and some different deals, that went on were pretty rough. And I weathered it. And I says, I don't care what you guys say. I'm going to keep this thing going.
I gotta break in and tell Ken about this part of my interview with you, because it was just a real insight to the kind of man that you are. He was telling me about when this all first went down, and he decided he was going to take over and clear up the old business of the shop, and made a list of everybody from the drag boat thing, the motorcycle thing, what projects were out, who was owed money, and he made a commitment right then that everything was going to go on exactly like it was, and he was going to finish that list before anything else.
Wow.
And I still got that list put away somewhere. I just put it on the wall like a flow chart. And every time I got a project done, a bike built or a boat capsule done or paid off a bill that he had, I'd put a gold star on it. I put a star on it, and it was a big deal when I finally got that done. It took to get it done, but I says, okay, now we can start fresh.
Yeah.
And which direction do I want to go? And I said, well, let's keep this thing of ours going. And I moved and ended up in Las Vegas, and was there for 18 years building bikes there, and that was a lot of fun. That was through the good times, when things were really hopping, and so a lot of magazine stuff, a lot of TV stuff going on, and I got on Motorcycle Mania with Jesse James and Motorcycle Mania 2, and that's when I finally got to meet Larry in person, and I'm sure that's going to lead us into the next story. But I got to meet Indian Larry, and so that was a big deal back then. This was in probably 02, 03 when the motorcycle thing hit the TVs, stuff on Discoveries, when all that stuff started popping, and the whole chopper culture just went nuts. And got to hand it to Jesse. He's the guy that pioneered the TV deal and made it happen.
Yep.
So that was I'm thankful to him for that, and including me in on it. And so that was a good time.
Hey,
during that era.
Before we get into the you and Larry times, there's a couple questions that have come in on Facebook. I'm going to let Heather read those off.
Okay.
The first one is from Carl from Walking Tall Cycles. He wants to know how often you come across bikes that you built 25 or more years ago. Does that happen frequently for you?
It does. And in fact, they're having the Mecum auction in Las Vegas right now. And I got two of my bikes. The one one's a yellow knucklehead and another one. Some guy's selling his whole collection. He had about 150 or so. Got two of my bikes in the collection, and they've been advertising them. So they'll go across the block probably tomorrow or Saturday. They'll go across the block at Mecum auction. So yeah, I do come across them. I do see them. But more than that is people are buying and collecting the old Denver choppers, the Honda 750s and the Cowies that were those long stretched out digger style rice rockets, and restoring them, or they'll get an old Denver chopper from our old shopper in Purdue, and they'll restore them. So I get a lot of that. People are always calling. They go, "We just want to verify that this is a Denver," and they'll send me pictures of it, and I'll look at the pictures. I go, "Yeah, that's one of ours," and they go, "Wow, I got a Denver." They take and restore them. So there's a big culture following up. Building and restoring the old Denver bikes and taking them back to the way they used to be, and so I'm glad that they just didn't all get crushed and thrown away or something. That people are actually recognizing, this is a piece of history and restoring them. And I probably get 2 or 3 phone calls a week from people that have found an old barn find Denver and the frame molding still on it, and I look at it and I probably molded that frame, did the Bondo work on it. And so, cool, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Right on. The other one is actually a statement from Danger Dan. He just wanted to thank you and let you know how honored he is that he got a trophy from you at the show in Sturgis, even though it was for the second ugliest bike on the lot.
We did have a class for that, and that was a tough class. But these guys, it just makes me smile at just thinking about that show and the variety of bikes that we had, and you guys had all your bikes there, and it was just such an eclectic group of motorcycles. And one of the categories bike shows is the old ridden bikes, the old original bikes that are still, oil dripping off them and scratched up paint, and these guys just big smiles on their face, riding them in and riding them around, and just carrying tools in their back pocket like we used to, and it just takes me back to a good time and a good spot in my life when I see those old original bikes, and these guys riding these rat bikes. And that a lot of guys, that's all they could afford back then when we were riding, is some of the rat bikes, and not everybody had a pretty bike. And so it's just I love that class, that fun class.
I gotta tell you something too. Like I'm with Dan, because I was lucky enough at that show in Sturgis to get an award for my little bobber, but that goes on the shelf with 2 of my most prized possessions. And this one here was given to me personally by my brother John Green before he left this planet. And it was just to remember the old Easy Rider shows and the old Easy Rider trophies. And I keep that right on the shelf, right on my desk. Every day I look at both of these things. That was one of the coolest times of my life, was getting that trophy. So anybody that walked away from that show that day with a piece of history, because that's what you got. You really you got to participate in history. You did that honor. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was moved to tears, actually, and got goosebumps right now just thinking about it, because I always say people, when they come to my shop to visit or I'm doing a bike show, and I just tell them, you could be anywhere in the world right now, but you took the time to come see me or come see our show or be a part of our show. And I'm just so honored that they participated, or they just came as somebody to visit and get to meet them. It just, as an old guy, that stuff means something to you. a lot of my old friends didn't make it this far, and to see the people there now and participating, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, and all I want to do now is give back to what has been so giving to me in my life, and the experiences and places I've been, and the stories that I can tell, and the people that I've met. It's just good. It's a good spot. It's a good place to be in life. Is where I'm at right now. You know, and for people like you to do what you're doing, and you're making history. And you're telling a big part of our history, and that's what's important, is our history of this thing of ours. And I read your magazines, and I read the articles, and all that group of people that you've put together to do the magazine, and your wife and your wife, you know, meeting her and stuff like that. It just you know, it reminds me of the old days and kind of the brotherhood we had back then. And you can look in a guy's eyes and have that mutual respect for one another. And the brotherhood, and wow, it's a big deal. You know, that's a big deal to see that and what you're doing, and that leads into another thing, is the young guys that are coming up. You know, a lot of these young guys are so good at building motorcycles, you know, and they're doing it for the right reason. And I see them and I talk to them, and I just get a smile on my face, because I know when I'm gone, these young guys are going to carry it on. You know, and I'm talking about Aaron Green and Billy Lane and Paul Cox and you know, that whole group of people that are just doing it for the right reason, and they've got motor oil running through their veins. You know, and that's
you know what's funny about that is that it seems like just 5 minutes ago, because I'm the same age as those guys, and it seems like 5 minutes ago with Ken also, we were kids 5 minutes ago, and like all of a sudden now the guys you just named, we're becoming like the old guys of this thing now.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Yeah, because you guys have got 25 years in it now, 25 years into it, and yeah, I remember that time too, when I was that age, a long time ago. You know, and it was just like I was just getting started, you know, and as you get older, the time does fly by. I don't care what anybody says, the time goes by quicker. And so you got to make those memories count, because all you're going to have when you're old, sitting on the front porch in the rocking chair, are your memories. And hopefully you made more good ones than bad ones. And you know, and that's what life's all about, you know, and did you make a difference in life? You know, did what you did, did it affect people and make a difference? And that's what you see at the end of your life is that, you know, did I count? Did I do any good? Even if I made a couple people smile with their bikes or something like that. So, yeah, I can truly say I've been blessed, and it's not over yet, and having a good time.
Right on. Last question, and then I'm going to let you continue with your story. Jennifer King wants to know if you've been able to maintain any of those relationships years ago.
You know, I was just at the Easy Rider Bike Show in Sacramento. And Sugar Bear and I were hanging out most of the day and talking about different things in our lives and stuff. And a lot of it, it's stuff that when him and I are sitting there talking, it's stuff that we can look each other in the eyes and we understand. You know, it's kind of an understanding that you have. It's kind of a bond that you have from being part of that generation. And so I still get to see a few of the people that from that time and era, but not too many. Not too many. A lot of these guys have passed on, or they've faded out completely and gone on to different things in their life, and so you don't see them. But you know. But here's the deal: you can meet old guys that you can meet them for the first time and sit down and talk to them. Next thing you know, it's that common denominator. And it's that we've had from being around this all our lives, where they dedicated their life to the same thing that I have, and you become instant friends, you know, because you share that culture and that brotherhood that's been going for well over 50 years. So it's fun. It's fun meeting the old guys. So I like meeting the young guys and the old guys, and you get us in a group, start talking, before you know it, there is no age difference, because we're all talking about the same thing. And that's what
Well,
choppers have
that's
done
one,
for
that's
me
one of the
is
things that
the
Jesse
common
got to do
denominator.
as well, you know,
This
by
led to me meeting
introducing
people
the
from all over the
world,
world.
you know, of custom motorcycles and you know,
And
Motorcycle Mania to Denver. So
that's the
people who
cool
didn't know
part.
it, I'm almost certain that was the first time that I ever heard about you guys.
So
So he
you know,
really,
I
you know,
want
had
I
a
want
little bit of an
to
impact
take a
there as
minute
well.
and talk about my ride with the biker. I would like to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, because that was for me. That was a really riveting part of the story.
Yeah. Well, here goes. You know, started, and Hugh King was the guy that, you know, and now we got a winner. The winner is, you know, that guy that was up on stage, you know, when they had the winners of the contest. And well, they came to me and they asked me. They said, would you be interested in doing a biker build-off? And I think this was like the second season or so, or third season, I don't remember. And I said, well, yeah, I'd be interested in doing it. And my shop was in Vegas. And I said, but only one condition is I want to go against Indian Larry. And Larry had already done 2 shows, 2 biker build-offs. And they said, well, let's call him and ask him. So they called Larry and they asked him and said, hey, Mondo wants to go against you and do an East Coast, West Coast thing. And Larry says, absolutely, because he was scheduled to go against somebody else. And they canceled that deal and says, absolutely, we'll do an East Coast, West Coast deal. But this time I had already met Larry from Motorcycle Mania 2 and have been, you know, watching him in the magazines all along. But, you know, a lot of times you don't meet people because you're from opposite ends of the coast. But being that I had met him, and I had been watching him, and you know, years ago he used to buy our frames from us, and so there was a connection, and so that was exciting that we got to go against each other. So make long story short, we both built our bikes, and you can see that on YouTube if you go to Mondo versus Indian Larry on the biker build-offs, and it's worth watching because it's a very moving episode. But we did our bike deal. We did. I rode to Pittsburgh. I built my bike in 9 days, and he built his bike. We were the first ones to start building them, and they gave you 10 days instead of 30 days. So we both cranked out our bikes, and a few people out there remember he had the Chain of Mystery bike, the one he built out of the motorcycle chain, and or motorcycle frame. I'm sorry. And so we both did our bikes, and we met at an old steel mill in Pittsburgh. And that's where our show started. So for the next 3 days, we were riding, you know, they're filming us with helicopters. And I had my crew that I brought out from I actually jumped on my FXR, sent my bike and my Discovery bike in a truck. And I jumped on my FXR with a couple of other guys, and we rode across country in 3 days. We blasted across country and got there in time to jump on my other bike and start the filming for the show. So, you know, we're riding, and by this time I'd already seen Larry. We'd done some stuff together in Sturgis and some other venues, and you know, Billy was coming along, and he had it, and Paul Cox and Kano. So he had his crew that he brought, and I had my crew that I brought from the West Coast, and so we all got together and we started doing the ride, and we're riding along and just really getting to see the beautiful country that we're riding through, and so we rode for 3 days together. And in the meantime, I was riding handlebar to handlebar with Larry during all the filming. So I got to you know, spend some really quality time with him. We would stop to get gas, or you know, and would really talk about a lot of things. And one thing came up that he was telling me about was this trick that he does where he stands on the seat and does the Iron Cross. And he said, you know, Mondo, I really don't feel good about doing that trick. They have me scheduled to do it when I get to I think we were going to Charlotte, North Carolina. And he says, I don't really want to do that. And I said, well, then don't do it. You know, he says, I just got a bad feeling. And he had talked to me, and he had told other people too in our groups that, you know, I just don't want to do that. And I said, well, Larry, don't worry about it. Just don't do it. And so he said, okay. And I remember we were going at a hotel one night, and I went out in the middle of the night because I seen him out there tinkering with his bike. And I said, Larry, you need to get on and get some sleep. You need to get some sleep. And he said, bro, what's wrong? And he said, well, I'm just having a really bad feeling about doing that trick again, you know. And I said, well, then just don't do it. Just come in and get some sleep, and we'll you know, just go do our deal. Don't put that out of your mind. So we went riding, and we rode the Dragon's Tail, and we had a ball and been filming, and so we get to the last day, and we're riding side by side, and we're getting ready to pull into the venue there where they're having the motorcycle show. I remember it was early Saturday morning, and we were pulling in. They got the cameras. The cameras were shut off. We were getting ready to get there, and the pickup truck in front of us was with the cameras and stuff, and they were shut off. And all of a sudden, I see Larry jump up on his bike and do the Iron Cross, and he sat back down. He did the cross, and he sat back down, and he didn't look at me or anybody else. And we all knew what he was doing. He was testing himself if he could do this thing, you know, that he had been worrying about. So I just said to myself, okay, I know what he's doing, you know. And we pulled into the venue, and we pulled in, and we're signing autographs, and the cameras are going. And this lady walks up to him, and she goes, hey, to go out back and do this trick that you're doing. And Larry says, well, you haven't paid me yet, because he got a certain amount of money to do that trick at these shows. He says, you haven't paid me, and I really don't feel like doing it, because I was standing next to him, because I heard the conversation going on. And then she held up a brochure, and she goes, you're on the cover of this brochure doing this trick. She goes, and I've got people out back waiting for you, and rain a little bit, sprinkle outside. And she says, I got an area set up out back. I want you to go out back and do that trick. And I just kind of sit there and just checked the whole thing out. And my girlfriend had just flown in, and she was standing next to me, and she hadn't been privy to anything, any of our conversations or anything else. And Larry comes walking by me, and he's as white as a ghost. And he was going out back to do that trick. And she goes, look, what's the matter with Larry? She wasn't tuned into what was going on. He's as white as a ghost. And I says, hon, I think you need to stay in here with me. Don't go out back. And she did. And the next thing I know is I heard, well, Larry went down, you know. And I just kind of just cringed. And it's almost, if you go back and watch that episode, you'll see in when they're talking to his wife, him and Bambi, in their apartment, and something about had to do with his life. You know, what kind of life? He says, in essence, he said, "I've had a good life, and if I leave tomorrow, you know, I've had a good life." You have to go back and watch that on the show, and so it's all started to make sense. You know, that he had this premonition.
Yeah.
That his time was short, and his time was coming. And I think he knew that his time was probably that weekend. And I don't know if you people out there believe in that kind of stuff, but I do, you know, and just the way the whole thing went down with.
Yeah.
And so I remember they care flighted him, and we were all staying at a hotel, and Billy Lane and Kendall Johnson, of course, Paul Cox. And so about 3:00 in the morning, they came over and knocked on our doors, mine and Billy's and Kendall's and Paul's and Kano's. They had a van waiting for us outside. And they says, we need to take you to the hospital. And so we all jumped in the van in the middle of the night and went to the hospital. And that was to say goodbye to Larry, because they were turning the machines off. And so we all got to, you know, say goodbye to him and kiss him and tell him we love him and say goodbye. And that was pretty much how that thing ended. And the most ironic part of this whole story is about a month late, they didn't even know if they're going to air that episode on TV.
Yeah.
So they had to have a big debate about it. And they asked Bambi, and Bambi said, yeah, Larry would have wanted it shown. So they delayed it for a long time. And finally they decided that after much consideration, they decided that they're going to go ahead and, you know, put the show on TV. But in the meantime, I flew to New York, and they had a memorial for Larry at his shop, and there was the big block party. That's where the first party was, and you know, to celebrate Larry's life. And I remember getting up on stage, and they handed me the microphone to say a few words about Larry, and I'm talking. You can see this on the TV program and Biker Build-Off. You can see that. But I'm talking, and it was really ironic, because during the whole show, I was talking about how Denver had passed, and I had to carry on his legacy. And this, now I sit standing on stage, and I turn around, look at the guys, and I look at Bambi, and I look at the guys, and I go, "You guys know what you got to do. You got to carry Indian Larry's name on, and Indian Larry his legacy." And so now the shop is called Indian Larry Legacy, and Bobby Seeger's done a great job. Paul and Kano have moved on, but they knew what they had to do. They had to keep the shop going. And so it was very ironic that all during the show I was talking about Denver, and now I had to turn around and look at these guys, and I knew exactly how they felt and what they had to do. And now this comes to the bizarre part of the whole story is Larry had a truck piston made, and he had his engraver, I think it was CJ, engrave it, and everybody signed their names on this truck piston that he had made for me. And it says, "Win, lose, or draw, Biker Build-Off 2004. Thanks, Mondo. It's been a great time." And everybody out there knows that Larry's logo was a question mark, because he always questioned life, and it had the question mark. And after he had passed away, he put wings on the question mark. If you guys all remember that, you probably know that. Well, anyway, the Bambi and the crew, they all said, "Mondo, Larry's got a box for you inside his office that he wanted to give you, and being that he's gone, he never could. And the box has been sealed." And I said, "Okay." And then they says, "Well, it took me in the office." So I opened up the box, and there's this piston, and everybody's engraved their names on it, Paul Cox, Kano, everybody. But on top of the piston had the question mark. But the question mark, when we opened the box, had wings on it.
Wow.
Actually had the wings on it, and I'm sitting here staring at it right now in my shop. And that was something. That was the premonition part that I talk about, and all that stuff that I believe in. I think Larry knew. I think he knew, because there was the wings on that question mark when I opened that box.
Yeah.
And all of us were brought to tears and goosebumps, and we just said, "Wow." So that I guess that's the most bizarre, intriguing part of my life. That whole episode with the Biker Build-Off, and the way it ended, and the premonition, and just all that kind of supernatural stuff that went on during that whole deal, with just something that I don't think it's ever really been told. But you can go talk with Billy or Paul or any of those guys, and they all remember that, what happened. And so that's a story that's never been told, and you just heard it firsthand. So,
and listen, the first time you told me,
do what you want with it, but that's what really happened.
The first time you told me about that, it sent chills down my spine. Like it really did.
Yeah.
Because I had heard so many times. I heard from, I heard stories directly from Bambi, how, Larry with the sword of Damocles, and, really knew what was going on. And I heard stuff like that from Paul, and, but it seemed like there was just really a presence there, man. And it's heavy.
Yeah. And, it just, and they had that block party every year celebrating Larry's life. And Larry and I are the same age, and we always looked at each other and smiled and just laughed. And we had a good time on that ride. It was the best time I ever had, literally riding a motorcycle. We were trying to outdo each other and outrun each other, during that whole thing, the ride, and the pipes on the bottom. My digger biker actually ground through. They're actually ground through where we're going running through the get away from me. And I says, "That's not going to happen." I wore off the pipes of my bike and just dragging them on the ground, keeping up with Larry. One hell of a rider, one hell of a person, and probably one of the people that I look up most to in the industry is Denver and Larry. So
now you've had some incredible milestones in your career with all of this, and like, talk about good people. This is another one I'm going to bring up is Dave Mann. You were featured in You and Your Motorcycle, and the last piece of artwork that man created on this planet.
Yeah. Let me tell you the story on that. So Dave Nichols, you guys know Dave Nichols from Easy Rider magazine, the editor. He came to me and he goes, Mondo, it's our 30th anniversary coming up, and we want to build a chopper to celebrate our 30th anniversary, and would like to have you build it. And I says, "Sure, I'd be honored," And so I went ahead and built the 30th anniversary bike, and I took it to Easy Rider for them to shoot it for the magazine. And I also had a bike that I had built 30 years earlier. So I thought, well, this will be cool. I'll bring that bike down as well. And I had just restored that one from 30 years earlier. And so I took them both down there and left them off, and they did the photo shoot. And I didn't hear any more back. I said, well, I'll just wait for the magazine to come get out. And when the magazine came out, I opened it up, and it was a black cover, I remember, on the 30th anniversary. And I opened it up, and there was a painting Dave Mann did of my two bikes running down the road, and I'm riding one of them, and a friend of mine's on the other one. And it just completely blew me away to see that, because I had grown up collecting Dave Mann art every month, hanging at my garage, and he was always a big inspiration and a hero to me. And
to all of us.
And to be blessed to be in his painting. And then he passed away. And one thing that David told me, he says, yeah, we had him doing the painting. We commissioned to do that painting of your two bikes. And he says, we didn't know if he was going to make it through because he was real sick at that time.
Oh.
And he made it through and finished the painting. And to be honored with Dave Mann's last painting, being the subject of his last painting, was icing on the cake in my career. It's just, how many people can say that,
Right
and very seldom did he ever paint real people. It was always stuff that came out of his head. And to have that honor to be in Dave Mann's last painting is something that, it'll be with me the rest of my life, and it'll be one of my biggest honors in this business is having Dave Mann do that painting.
Well,
and so that brings that, and then next weekend I'll be in Van Nuys for the Dave Mann Chopper Fest, and I will be there, and I know there's a lot of bikes, a lot of choppers are going to be there, a lot of builders. So if you guys get a chance, make it to Dave Mann next weekend in Ventura. It's on the 4th. It's on Sunday, February the 4th, Sunday, the Dave Mann Bike Show. So big deal to me.
We just had Tori on a little while ago talking about that because they had to switch the date. And, man, he has just done such an incredible job with that show and keeping Dave's artwork alive. And, a couple of times we've been blessed to actually be out there and participate in it. But, what he's doing with the art of our culture and stuff, he's killing.
Yeah. Isn't that great? That's why I say we're in good hands. We're in good hands with you and these other guys out there. We got this thing covered, and it's going to be a lot of fun to be down. They let me guest be a judge down there on the bike show and stuff like that.
Right
so,
on.
I get to see that stuff and see the work that some of these guys are doing is phenomenal. And so that's exciting. And then another thing I got coming up is Billy and I and Jay Allen from the Broken Spoke. I think we're going to make a trip to Dubai here next month, maybe in March, to do a show over there.
That's insane, man. That's insane. That's going to be such a trip.
Yeah, this is my 4th trip over there, and it'll be Billy's first. And Jay Allen, I took him with me a couple years ago over there. And for you, the people that don't know, Jay Allen's the guy that owns the Broken Spoke Saloons. A big part of our culture, a big part of our history. And he holds 37 land speed records in Bonneville now on his bikes.
Yep.
And what a guy Jay Allen is. Broken Spoke, look him up. That guy's a piece of our history. But anyway, I took him with me a couple of years ago, and we went on a tour. And United Arab Emirates has got 7 Emirates are like states or counties that make up the United Arab Emirates. And so we went on a bike ride and we toured that whole country on motorcycles.
Wow.
And it's literally the most beautiful country in the world. It's got the largest shopping malls in the world. They even got a shopping mall with a ski resort in it, if you can believe that. The tallest building in the world. I mean, it's just such a modern, beautiful country. I always look forward to going back. I'm excited about making that trip again. So that's so that just goes to show you that this chopper thing of ours is recognized worldwide, and people all over the world want to be us. They want to mimic our culture and do what we do and buy our bikes and so this thing of ours is grown, and it's a worldwide phenomenon, and it's because of the magazines and the TV that have taken us worldwide. So that's Chris again. Thank you.
Oh, Oh, no, man.
I know you're known worldwide, and it's you doing stuff like that for me and Billy and the rest of us. It just it just keeps this thing of ours going, and I can't thank you enough for the terrific article you did this month.
No, baby, I'm just honored to be here. I really am. I'm a humble servant.
We're having fun, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
We're having fun.
Yes,
and
sir.
So I've been blessed. I built that bike for Sons of Anarchy with Chuck Zito. I don't know if you guys saw that on that one episode where he's playing Frankie Diamond, and I built that crazy bike for him. And so I've got to do some cool stuff in my life, and I'm not done yet. And if I'm out at one of your shows in your area or something, come up and meet me. Come up and talk to me. I'd love to sit down and talk to you and get to know about you guys. You guys are our future. You're our present. It's all about the here and now. So, I'd like to swap stories with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So you have a Facebook website, all of that, where people can come and keep track of where you're at and what you're doing.
Denverchoppers.com. And we've got some nice stuff on there from some of the bike shows. In fact, the Sturgis bike show's on there, and that was a blast with you. I had a great time with you. That was that's one of those things you mark down in your life as history. You only have one 50th anniversary. To make it there in the first place is a milestone. A lot of people can't say that. Just to make it there, and then to have a big bang and do a beautiful bike show. It just with you guys on stage and hosting us, it just made it cool. And what was also cool, it made everybody else's bike shows bigger that last year.
Absolutely.
Because I had so many people from out of town come to our show. They just hung out the whole week. I had one guy, Brett had, he ended up pulling home 18 trophies when he's done by the end of the week.
I think he brought 18 motorcycles though, and 9 of them were knuckleheads.
That guy's a character. He's building one of my knucklehead motors right now, but that's an old timer. You see these old paintings of old garages with all the parts hanging in the garage and all the old motorcycles. Well, that's him. I've been to his house in Northern California, and it's just it's a walk back in time, to a real old biker that he has to roll 15 bikes before he can go to work, and you walk in, there's frames hanging from the gas tanks and motors underneath the bench, and I remember that stuff when I was a kid, seeing guys' houses like that, and to see one like that, it's like walking back in time, kind of cool.
That's kind of how they still are in Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Yeah. There's places like that. They're barn finds and hidden treasures.
Yep.
Yeah, you ever get a chance, Chris, do a story on Brett in his house.
Absolutely.
He's got as many motorcycle parts in the house as he does outside in the garage. He's one of those guys.
Nice.
I think in his article he told us he had something like 30 plus basket cases in his garage, and most of them were knuckles.
all waiting to be built. Flatheads and knuckleheads and panheads and frames, unmolested old rigid frames, with all the tabs still on them. He goes, one of these days I'm going to build that, or one of these days I'm going to build that.
I know. When I talked to him for his story, I told him he was my new motorcycle hero.
Yeah, and then he won our rolling chassis. You remember he won the rolling chassis that we gave away.
Yep.
And he says, I got to build that too, and I just keep building, Brett.
Yep.
And
for sure.
Hopefully I'll see him next weekend at the Chopper Fest, and I got to see him at the Easy Ride. A lot of fun. Him and Billy Alexander. They great people. That's just some of the perks that we get being out on the road is to meet these fabulous people,
Absolutely.
that are like-minded, and end up being brothers. So that's a cool deal, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, sir, it is. It's been my
cool
privilege
deal.
for 2 decades now. I'm thrilled with that life.
Yeah. Well, I've probably rambled on for a long time, and I get long-winded, and I apologize for that. If you got any more questions for me, I'd like to answer them. If not, it's been a true honor. And again, thank you for the beautiful magazine article. I will cherish that article. It's the best one that's ever been done on us. And you told the story the best, and what a cool deal. So hope to see you down the road soon. And thank you and your crew and your wife. And I'm just blessed to be a part of this thing.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for all the time with doing the interview on that. I know it took a few months to get it all nailed down, but it was so worth it. It came out perfect, and I'm really, really honored. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks, you.
Mondo.
It took 50 years to get there, so if I had to wait a little bit for the article, it was worth it.
Right on, man. Well, cool.
All right, you guys. God bless everybody out there. See you down the road, and we'll keep these stories coming. You guys make some history yourself. Make some memories.
All right, Mondo. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Man, just I'm gonna be a fanboy here for a minute, because honestly, like Mondo and guys from that whole period of the motorcycle culture, like to have them say something to me good about something that we've done, that is my gold watch, Ken, right there. That was my moment. So
yep.
I don't give a shit. Like, some guys have in their mind that they make a certain amount of money, or if they get a certain amount of property, or whatever other bullshit you think is cool. When somebody that you look up to, like this cat and Keith Ball and like people that I've looked at like heroes, when they say, "Hey, you're doing a good job, kid," that's where it's at. That's the shit for me.
Yep. And you'll probably be on the receiving end of one of these, in 20 plus years. So.
Oh, good. That's got to be like in another 5 minutes. Because, like I said, we were kids a minute ago.
I know, no kidding.
Oh, Jesus. So let's real quick try to run through a couple more news pieces, because we wouldn't be doing our job or getting our paycheck, honestly, unless we did.
Okay.
Big news coming out of South Dakota. You guys heard about this last year that Rod Woodruff was trying to get Buffalo Chip Campground to actually be deemed a city of South Dakota. Well, local court, circuit court had, filed against him for that and tried to do an injunction on it. Went the whole way to South Dakota Supreme Court. They have now ruled in favor of the Buffalo Chip. It does have the complete right and title as a state in South Dakota. So congratulations to Rod and his team. I know they work
a city
really,
as a city in South Dakota.
A city. What
not
did
a state.
I say? Oh, a state.
You said state.
Well,
it's not going to be the 51st state, but that's next.
Have you been there? It's bigger than Rhode Island already. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So yeah, congratulations to Rod and his people. Not sure what kind of leverage that'll give him with the state of South Dakota to get more done with the access road and all of that, but I'm sure he's going to use it to his benefit. So congratulations to Rod on that.
Definitely.
V-Twin news coming up. Tucker Rocky Biker's Choice Inside Track reports today that the 2018 catalog is hitting the road and coming to a place near you to check out right now.
Wow, that is exciting.
With hot tattooed woman on the cover. So yeah, check it out. Tucker Rocky, obviously a bunch of our friends over there. They take care of us all year long. Congratulations to them. And we talked about Chopper Fest, but I want to make sure you guys knew chopperfestival.com. You can go there, see everything that's going on. Watch a little video on Noah's hot ass. Tori works his ass off, so he absolutely deserves any kind of push for it. And that's it. I think that's all I got from the news desk today. How about you?
Yeah, that's all I got, man. Once again, thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. If you get a chance, go listen to the podcast. Go do that. We've got a long interview with Roger Dammer up. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to support 4E2W, just go over there, click on the banner, JMP banner, and we get a little taste of that. Or you go on eBay and buy one of these shirts. Make Choppers great again.
Make Choppers great again. So, how did our engineer in training do today?
Shameless plugs. Great. How did she do? Hey, how does she feel?
She looks startled.
Mm.
I'm speechless.
This is
Speechless.
like half of this at least is radio. You have to talk,
Yeah.
especially when you're not on camera.
But
Yeah.
usually you don't really want to hear what I have to say.
Sure we do, Heather.
And there's a little behind the scenes look into my personal life, right there.
Oh.
All right, man.
All right.
Listen, my message for the week is, I don't care how cold it is. It's not as cold at your place as it is at mine, most likely. Get out in the garage, build something, get your shit together, because it's going to be Daytona in like 2 minutes, and I want to see everybody rolling into Willie's for the Chopper Show.
That's right. That's right.
That's a public
on, man.
service announcement from Cycle Source Magazine.
That's right. Nice. All right, man. You want to take us out?
Yeah, man. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with us for 90 minutes, all the bullshit we can fit with Shop Talk coming to you every Thursday at 2 p.m.
That's right.
Eastern Standard Time. Check us out on Facebook, forever2wheels.com for the podcast follow-up. Until we hook up with you guys again next week, I'm Chris.
And I'm Ken.
And we're out.
We're out.